The whole galaxy was waiting. After many years of fighting and hate, a big meeting was set. The leaders of many alien worlds and humans were going to talk about peace. It was called the Great Peace Summit. Everyone hoped that this time the fighting would end for good. The space station where the summit was held was huge. It floated near a bright star, shining like a jewel in the dark sky. Ships from many worlds arrived, each with their own flags and colors. Humans wore simple uniforms, but their eyes showed they were ready for anything. Commander Sarah Malik, a strong and smart human leader, stood on the balcony of the station. She looked at the crowd below. There were thousands of beings from different planets, some tall and thin, others short with many arms, and some with glowing skin. But all of them looked nervous. They knew peace was fragile. Sarah thought about what the peace talks really meant. Years ago, humans and aliens had fought many wars. Millions had died. Now everyone wanted to stop the bloodshed. But peace was not easy. Old grudges and secrets stayed in the shadows, waiting to explode. The summit started with speeches. The alien leaders spoke of hope and trust. Sarah spoke too. She told the crowd that humans wanted peace, but they were ready to defend themselves if needed. Her voice was calm, but strong. Then, the talks began. In quiet rooms, leaders discussed borders, trade, and laws. It looked good at first. Everyone seemed ready to agree. But then, something terrible happened. An explosion shook the space station. Alarms blared. People screamed and ran for cover. The lights flickered and went out. For a moment, smoke filled the halls. No one knew who caused the blast. Sarah rushed to the command center. Her heart was pounding. She saw reports coming in. One of the alien leaders was badly hurt. The peace talks were ruined. Fear spread fast like fire. Who had done this? Was it one of the alien groups? Or was it humans trying to scare the others? Nobody knew. The leaders demanded answers. Sarah looked at her team. They had no proof yet, but they felt eyes watching them closely. Trust was breaking. The galaxy was like a powder keg ready to explode. Any small spark could start a war. Sarah's mind raced. She knew humans had to act smart. The other worlds feared humans could be the enemy now. That was dangerous. But she also knew humans would not give up easily. The peace talks had failed, but the real story was just beginning. In secret, Sarah met with her top officers. They planned how to find the truth behind the explosion. They couldn't tell the others yet. If the wrong news spread, war would start immediately. Sarah felt the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. She knew that what humans did next would change everything. As she left the meeting, a strange message appeared on her screen. It was encrypted and from an unknown source. The message said only one thing: "The truth will haunt you." Sarah shivered. She looked out at the stars. Was this a warning or a promise? The fragile peace was gone. The galaxy was filled with fear, and humans were ready to respond in a way no one could guess. The explosion had shattered the hope for peace, but it did more than that. It planted a seed of fear deep in the hearts of every leader in the galaxy. Every empire began to whisper, behind closed doors. Was it the humans? Are they hiding something? Can we trust them? These questions spread like wildfire. Suspicion grew fast. Old enemies started pointing fingers. Commander Sarah Malik felt the weight of the galaxy's gaze on her people. Humans had always been strong, but now they were seen as a threat. Some alien leaders called for harsh actions against humans, fearing a secret attack might come next. In the shadows, humans did not wait. While others argued and accused, Sarah and her team prepared quietly. They knew they had to show strength, but not just any strength. They needed to surprise the galaxy. Sarah sat in a dim room with her top officers. "We must be ready," she said. "If they think we are weak, they will strike. But if we show them something they never expect, they will think twice before attacking." Her plan was risky. It involved secrets so dark that only a few humans knew about them. Advanced weapons, hidden ships, and a strategy no one could imagine. Meanwhile, the alien worlds were not sleeping either. Spies moved through space, watching humans closely. Some planets started building new weapons, ready for war. The galaxy was on the edge. Peace was a forgotten dream. Late one night, Sarah received a secret message. It was short, but chilling. "You cannot hide what you are. The galaxy will remember." Sarah wondered, who sent this? Was it a threat or a warning from inside her own people? She looked at the stars again, feeling the cold fear creeping in. The peace was gone. War whispers were louder every day, and the humans were ready to respond. But their response would haunt the galaxy forever. Commander Sarah stood in front of the Galactic Council, calm on the outside, but burning with questions inside. Every alien leader wanted answers. The explosion had destroyed trust, and now the galaxy believed humans were behind it. Some called for sanctions, others wanted war. But Sarah had a different idea. Back at the Human Command Center, a secret investigation had begun. Human intelligence teams scanned all data from the explosion. What they found was shocking. The energy signature from the bomb did not match any human or known alien tech. It was old, very old, and coded in a forgotten language. A language used by a species thought to be extinct. That species was called the Varnock. Hundreds of years ago, the Varnock tried to conquer the galaxy. They were cruel, using mind control tech and biological weapons. But they vanished after a massive war. Or so everyone thought. Sarah looked at the decoded signature. It was real. The Varnock were back and hiding. The humans realized the truth. The Varnock had sabotaged the peace talks. Their plan was simple: make the other species fight each other, then rise again from the shadows. But now came the hard part. No one believed the humans. Sarah sent reports to the other leaders. She shared the data, but the council rejected it. "This is a human trick," they said. "You're trying to distract us while you prepare your own attack." Sarah slammed her fist on the table back at the base. "They're blind," she said. "They're all blind, and we're running out of time." So humans made a hard choice. They would act alone. Sarah called in her elite team, Unit Blackstar. Their mission: go into deep space, find the Varnock, and bring back proof. But this was a suicide mission. The Varnock, if truly alive, were the deadliest enemy ever known. As the ship left Earth's orbit, Sarah whispered, "The galaxy fears us, but soon they'll fear something else." Just as the ship entered unknown space, an encrypted message reached Earth. "You're too late. We are already among you." Chills ran down Sarah's spine. If that message was true, the Varnock weren't just hiding in the dark. They were already inside the great empires, maybe even inside the human alliance itself, and the galaxy had no idea. The room was quiet, but the silence felt heavy, like a storm waiting to break. Commander Sarah Malik stood at the center of Earth's Defense Council, her eyes moving over the faces of generals, scientists, and political leaders. Everyone was waiting for her next words. "The Varnock are alive," Sarah said firmly. "They sabotaged the peace summit. They are trying to make us fight each other, then they will rise again and finish what they started a century ago." Some shook their heads. Others narrowed their eyes in doubt. "We have no proof," said General Harrow. "Only theories." "We have enough," Sarah snapped back. "We can't wait for more. Every hour we delay, the Varnock dig deeper into the galaxy. If we don't act now, we'll lose everything." Again, a heavy silence followed. Then a decision was made. Operation Ghostfire was approved. The human gambit had begun. In secret, Earth deployed 3 stealth cruisers deep into uncharted space. Their goal: find the source of the strange energy signature from the bomb. The ships were covered in advanced cloaking fields, invisible to scanners. Their mission was simple: find proof of the Varnock and destroy whatever they found. Back at Earth, Sarah activated Protocol Arcos, a backup plan known only to the highest-level human commanders. It was a strategic weapon, not a bomb, but something far more dangerous. a signal disruptor designed to cut off communication across vast galactic space. If the Varnock were using old mind control tech again, the disruptor would shut them down. But if used at the wrong time, it could paralyze entire star systems. Sarah hated the idea. But deep inside she knew. If humans were forced to act alone, they had to be ready to shut down the galaxy to survive. Meanwhile, the three stealth ships moved deeper into dark space. The lead ship, HSS Raven, found something chilling, an asteroid belt that wasn't natural. Huge rocks floated around a dead star, but scans showed the rocks were hollow. Inside were tunnels, lights, and movement. Varnock tech. As the human team explored, they discovered more: cloning labs, memory hacking machines, and creatures in stasis. The Varnock were not just alive. They were preparing an army, and worse, they had infiltrators already inside every major empire. The Raven's captain, Lieutenant Vega, sent an emergency message to Earth. They're here, they're real, and they're planning a second galactic war. But just as the message reached Earth, a strange signal hit the ship. One by one, the crew began to scream and collapse. The ship spun out of control and vanished from contact. Sarah watched the transmission cut off, her hands clenched, her jaw tightened. No more waiting. She stood before the human fleet. The galaxy had ignored their warnings. The Varnock were too close. So Sarah gave the order. Activate the Ghost Flare protocol. Let's show them what happens when humanity is pushed too far. Within hours, Earth's secret fleet moved into position near 3 major alien borders. They didn't fire. They didn't speak. They just stood there, silent and waiting. It was a message. We see the game, and we're ready to end it. The galaxy panicked. Alien leaders demanded answers. But Sarah said nothing. Instead, she sent a single message across all channels. We tried peace. You ignored the truth. The next move is ours. At the same time, deep in space, something even more dangerous was waking up. A Varnock mothership, long, black, and ancient, powered up near a forgotten moon, and in its center a shadow opened its eyes. The war that was coming would not just decide peace or power. It would decide who controls the future of the galaxy itself. Darkness had fallen over the stars. The Varnock mothership, larger than any vessel seen in the last century, slowly moved out from behind a dead moon. Its surface looked like black bone, smooth and silent. Thousands of sharp towers rose from its spine like claws reaching for the stars. Inside, ancient systems hummed to life. Cloning chambers glowed. Neural networks began to pulse. A forgotten empire was waking and preparing to strike. The Varnock had returned, and they had already planted seeds in every major government. Back on Earth, Commander Sarah Malik stood, alone in the observation deck of the defense tower. She watched as the human fleet hovered in space, still and strong. But her heart was heavy. They had proof now. The Varnock were real. But it came at a terrible cost. The Raven was lost, and its crew was likely dead or worse. The other empires still didn't believe her. Instead of uniting, they accused. The Dralka Empire sent warships to the border of human space. The Zereth coalition pulled their ambassadors from Earth. The Zenthari, once friendly, called for an emergency strike to contain humanity. They fear us more than they fear the truth, Sarah whispered. She had one final move left. A dangerous one. Protocol. Arcos, the signal disruptor. If she activated it, the Varnock's neural web, their mind-control tech, would collapse. Their growing army would lose connection. But so would thousands of ships, satellites, and communication hubs across half the galaxy. It was like setting fire to the forest to kill the snake. But Sarah knew something even worse. The Varnock had found a way to infect minds, not just systems. They were controlling people, quietly, slowly, secretly, and they had started with the Galactic Council. She had a list now, names gathered from Raven's last transmission. At least 6 high-ranking alien leaders were no longer fully themselves. Their voices, their orders, even their emotions, all manipulated by something cold and ancient. If Sarah did nothing, the galaxy would fall from within. If she acted, she could become the monster they already feared. She stared at the activation key. Just then, her AI assistant buzzed. "Incoming message," it said. "From Unit Ghost Star. Emergency level." Her eyes widened. Ghost Star was her last remaining stealth team, sent to track the Varnock signal's origin. The message was short. Confirmed. Varnock presence beneath Zenthari homeworld. Mind control in place. War fleet building underground. Full invasion planned within 12 Earth days. Sarah's blood turned to ice, that was it. The proof. But 12 days was too short. No one would believe it. The Varnock had made sure of that. Lies and fear had already spread too far. Only one option remained. Sarah stood before the High Command. She wore black, not her usual uniform. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned. "We are not here to survive. We are here to stop the end of everything." The officers nodded. One of them placed the disruptor key into her hand. Sarah took a breath and turned the key. Across the galaxy, silence fell. Thousands of satellites went dark. Long-range comms dropped. Ships lost contact with bases. Panic spread. But in the middle of the chaos, something else happened. On the Varnock mothership, systems began to scream. Creatures in stasis thrashed. Neural towers sparked and fell. The control signal was dying. Sarah watched it unfold from Earth. For a moment, she allowed herself to hope. But then, her screen flashed red. Warning, counter signal detected, Varnock AI active, adaptation in progress. Sarah's heart sank. They were learning, changing, surviving. She turned to her officers. "It's not enough. We've hurt them, but they're not finished." Then she said what no human leader had ever dared say. "It's time for war. Not to win, but to outlast." The price of power had been paid, but the war for the future was just beginning, and the Varnock were no longer in hiding. They were coming. The stars burned silent in the cold of space, but below them, war had begun. All across the galaxy, systems went dark. Communications failed. Trade routes collapsed. Fleets drifted with no commands. The signal disruptor had struck hard. But the real storm was just beginning. On the planet Zenthar Prime, the first Varnock army emerged. They came from beneath the crust, bursting through the ground like locusts. Their bodies were part flesh, part machine. Eyes glowed blue with stolen thought. They moved fast, with precision and rage. Cities fell in hours. Shields broke like glass. Civilians ran, screamed, vanished. The galaxy, once proud and united, was now scattered and broken, and no one could stop it except the humans. Commander Sarah Malik stood on the deck of the HSS Horizon, Earth's flagship. Around her, war maps lit the room, red dots spreading fast across the galaxy. Worlds were burning. The Varnock were striking from dozens of hidden bases, but Earth stood ready. She gave the order. Launch Operation Iron Star. Across human space, hidden fleets powered up. These were not the usual ships. These were ghost cruisers, prototype destroyers, stealth bombers, weapons built in secret for a war no one believed would come. Until now. The first battle took place near the ruins of an abandoned Varnock station. The human fleet arrived quietly, just 18 ships. The enemy had 50, but the humans didn't come for a fair fight. They came to win. They used quantum mines, silent drones, and AI-guided missiles that struck before the enemy could even respond. In just 14 minutes, half the Varnock fleet was gone, but the humans paid a price. 5 ships lost, nearly 200 dead. Sarah watched the feed, her jaw tight. "They bleed," she said, "but they learn. Every time." And she was right. At the second battle, near the trade world Veridan, the Varnock adapted. They blocked human missiles, turned their own minds against them. This time, the humans barely escaped. Commander Malik called her officers into war. We're not facing an enemy. We're facing a virus that thinks, changes, spreads. Then she showed them something no one had seen before, a recovered Varnock message. Translated, it said, "You build with hope. We build with memory. You will forget. We will return." Sarah looked around the room. They don't want just to conquer. They want to erase us, to erase everything. Back on Earth, resistance grew. Some humans wanted to surrender. Others feared Sarah had started a war that could never be won. But the truth was darker. A spy had been found, a Varnock agent, inside Earth's own command system. He had been feeding them data for months. "How deep do they go?" one officer asked. Sarah answered coldly, "As deep as we let them." Now the human mission changed. It was no longer about defense. It was about survival. And survival meant doing the unthinkable. Sarah ordered the release of Project Umbra, a last resort. Weapon hidden beneath Mars. It wasn't a bomb. It was something stranger. A system designed to rewrite neural code. If deployed, it could fry every Varnock-controlled mind. But it could also harm anyone too deeply connected to tech, including humans. The room went quiet when Sarah gave the "yo" command. "If we don't stop them now," she said, "there will be nothing left to save." The countdown began. 10 days until Project Umbra was ready. 10 days to push the Varnock back. 10 days to win a war that nobody wanted. But everyone would remember. Because humanity had made its choice. They would fight, they would suffer. But they would never kneel. The stars looked peaceful. But the war had reached its final breath. Project Umbra was ready. One last weapon. One last chance. Inside Earth's hidden facility beneath Mars, the machine waited. Cables spread like roots. Lights pulsed with cold, steady rhythm. Its code was dangerous, a virus for minds, not machines. It would burn out any neural connection the Varnock used to control their armies. But Sarah Malik knew the price. It might also damage parts of humanity itself. The soldiers with cyber implants, the AI-linked workers, even some of Earth's own defense systems. It was the kind of weapon you only use once, and only when there's nothing left to lose. The Varnock were coming, not hidden anymore, not in the shadows. A full invasion force was heading straight for Earth. The last transmission from Jupiter base showed thousands of ships moving in dark formation, like a black storm swallowing the stars. Earth had only hours. Sarah stood before the World Assembly, tired, worn, scarred, but unbroken. She said just one thing. "This is not the end of Earth. This is the end of fear." Then she turned and walked away. The vote had already been cast. Project Umbra would activate in 3 hours. In orbit, Earth's fleet formed its final shield. Old warships, new prototypes, civilian crafts turned into fighters. Even damaged ships joined, their crews refusing to stand down. They weren't defending Earth. They were defending humanity's right to exist. The Varnock came fast. Laser blasts lit the sky. Ships collided. Explosions tore space open. The fleet fought, with everything they had. And still it wasn't enough. One by one, human ships were destroyed. But they never retreated. They bought time. Time for Project Umbra to charge. Time for Earth's people to hide in deep shelters. Time for Sarah Malik to give one last message. The Varnock mothership appeared above Earth's orbit. It blocked the sun. It opened its neural arrays, ready to send out its control wave. And, at that exact moment, Project Umbra activated. A silent pulse spread through space. No light, no sound. Just a deep tremble across the stars. Then, everything changed. The Varnock ships began to drift. Their weapons froze. Their engines stuttered. On the ground, humans watched as the sky, once filled with fire, grew quiet. The invasion stopped mid-air, and then the ships began to fall. Not explode. Fall. As if they were dead. On the surface of Earth, people came out of shelters. They saw pieces of the enemy crash into oceans, deserts, and mountains. The war was over, but not without cost. Millions had died. Cities were gone. Orbit was filled with debris. And Earth's neural systems, including its own AIs and implants, had been wiped. It was like waking up from a coma. Painful. Bright. Real. Sarah Malik walked through the ruins of the defense tower. She looked up at the stars, now shining again, and said softly, "We didn't win with fire. We won with memory, with choice. Because in the end, humanity had not become monsters to defeat monsters. They had burned the sky, but not their souls." Across the galaxy, the truth spread fast. Aliens who once doubted now bowed in respect. They saw Earth not as a threat, but as a light, a species that had stood alone, fought with courage, and chose sacrifice over surrender. The name of humanity would never be forgotten again, because on the day Earth burned, humanity rose.